Ever wonder why scaling your initial 10 grand feels like scaling a sheer cliff, yet the next leap to 30,000 hits with speed that alters everything?
What triggers after that 30,000 mark will completely overhaul your exact operational strategy around wealth, autonomy, and security.
Most individuals mistakenly assume asset acceleration progresses in a rigid, straight line. Save $1 today, move precisely one step closer tomorrow.
Reach 10,000 and you think you are 10% toward 100 grand. Hit 20,000 and you figure you sit at 20%.
That basic linear calculation is dead wrong, and operating on that myth is precisely why millions remain trapped in an endless loop of exchanging precious hours for flat paychecks.
My name is Navira, and on Winds of Thought, I spend an absurd amount of time dissecting monetary psychology and studying why specific savers achieve true liberation while others remain permanently
constrained.
If you are serious about mastering the hidden mechanics of real asset building instead of simply hoping things resolve on their own, hit the subscribe button right now and drop a like if this breakdown alters your perspective on personal capital. Here is a reality that will likely shock your current assumption.
Crossing the 30,000 threshold is not just another random milestone along your journey to independence. It represents the precise psychological inflection point where your core baseline
fundamentally morphs. It marks the moment where you stop slaving away for individual dollars, and your cash begins actively laboring on your behalf.
It is where raw defensive posture evolves into dynamic leverage, where basic preservation turns into scalable infrastructure, and where your internal blueprint transforms permanently.
You might have felt vaguely protected at 10,000 or somewhat organized at 20,000, but 30,000 is when the automated flywheel starts turning entirely on its own, and most savers have zero clue this shift is rapidly approaching. Let us map out what the typical progression actually looks like in practice.
When sitting on $5,000, you are still scanning your checking balance every morning with a subtle knot of tension in your gut.
Can you safely pay rent on time? What if your vehicle engine fails suddenly? What if an unexpected medical expense hits?
You exist in pure survival mode, where every minor purchasing decision feels like it could threaten your entire foundation. Step up to 10,000 and a noticeable shift occurs. That tight knot in your stomach begins to ease.
Your sleep quality improves overnight. You can comfortably handle an unexpected household fix without leaning on high interest credit cards.
You have effectively constructed a fundamental emergency cushion. For the first time in years, your shoulders drop and you breathe easier.
That is your safety cushion, essential, certainly, but merely the launch pad. Moving up to 20,000 creates a completely different emotional dynamic.
You are no longer merely scrambling to defend against sudden hits. You begin designing forward-looking strategies.
You possess enough insulation to weather significant financial storms.
Perhaps you gain the quiet leverage to walk away from an exhausting, toxic workplace environment because you hold a cash runway.
You start researching brokerage vehicles, opening tax-advantaged accounts, and planting long-term seeds.
You have officially transitioned from defensive preservation to calculated growth mode.
This level is where most individuals celebrate, thinking they have permanently cracked the code of personal management.
But here is where the trajectory splits into something truly fascinating. Most people mistakenly predict that 30,000 feels like just another minor incremental layer of the exact same sensation. A tiny bit more security, slightly wider breathing space, maybe a
slightly upgraded annual vacation. They couldn't be more wrong. Reaching 30,000 represents a total transformation in the core physics of personal equity.
It is the precise threshold where compound returns cease being an abstract theory printed in textbooks and turn into a tangible, accelerating force within your life.
It is where you move from managing your balance out of raw emotion to directing it with cool precision. It is where you stop acting like someone holding temporary savings and start operating like an intentional equity builder.
At 30,000, an extraordinary shift happens inside your brain.
You stop viewing saved currency as static paper to hoard inside a vault and start viewing it as an army of deployment-ready units.
Every single dollar assumes a specific, dedicated assignment. Certain units serve as defensive guards stationed in your liquid reserves.
Other units act as active workers, venturing into diversified markets to capture new returns and bring back additional yield.
Other units function as forward scouts, probing new ventures that could alter your entire financial trajectory.
This transformation is not just inspiring self-help phrasing. It is backed by deep behavioral research.
Cognitive scientists refer to this as the psychological pivot from a scarcity framework to an abundance blueprint. When your reserves hit 30,000, your mind stops making decisions out of fear and starts operating from calculated opportunity.
You evaluate options based on upside potential rather than immediate panic.
Consider this comparison. When you held 5,000, spending a single $100 bill felt like a heavy, stress-inducing decision.
At 20,000, that same $100 still required careful pause, but at 30,000, your cognitive decision-making matrix fundamentally updates.
You stop asking whether you can physically afford an expenditure and start asking whether deploying that specific capital generates the highest return in freedom, leverage, or future returns.
Here is where the vast majority of people completely misread the landscape. They assume reaching 30,000 is simply permission to buy newer possessions or display elevated consumption.
They view it as a green light to upgrade their daily lifestyle, sign a lease on an expensive vehicle, or move into a higher-tier apartment.
While you could technically fund those things, doing so reflects the temporary consumer mindset, not the enduring builder mindset.
Individuals who truly comprehend the power of the 30,000 rule think on a completely different frequency.
They view this milestone as the exact moment to transition from playing defense to executing aggressive offense.
Rather than merely shielding what they have already gathered, they strategically deploy their cash to generate autonomous velocity.
They begin taking calculated, intelligent risks that were previously out of reach.
They design self-sustaining systems that produce ongoing yield without requiring their physical presence every hour of the day.
Passing 30,000 unlocks access to strategic avenues that were previously impractical or totally out of reach.
You can split capital across distinct asset classes with real impact. You can fund long-term retirement accounts with numbers large enough to compound exponentially over upcoming decades.
You can invest directly into Hive, use skill development that multiplies your baseline earning capacity.
You can even test new commercial ideas or side ventures knowing that an initial failure will not break your household stability.
True financial strength isn't about luxury lifestyle display. It is about absolute operational leverage.
This brings us to the core distinction separating true wealth builders from perpetual savers. At 30,000, you stop focusing exclusively on linear savings goals and begin constructing
automated systems. Instead of constantly exerting willpower to save, you build automated pathways that sweep and invest your capital seamlessly.
Instead of simply praying for a raise, you acquire assets and capabilities that yield returns independent of your personal time clock.
This is the ultimate freedom loop. With 30,000, you hold enough capital to purchase time, which you then use to acquire Hive. Use skills, which elevates your baseline earning potential, which yields even greater surplus.
Capital to buy back more time, yet most people stumble right before reaching this powerful inflection point.
They hit 20 or 25,000, feel comfortable and slow down. Comfort turns into complacency. They cease learning, stop taking calculated risks, and freeze their progression. They plateau just as the real momentum is about to ignite. What nobody tells you about 30,000 is that it gives you the ultimate hidden asset, the absolute ability to say no.
Imagine standing in a high-pressure job interview with only $300 left in your bank account.
You accept whatever compensation package they offer and thank them for the chance, but sitting on 30,000 changes your posture entirely.
You ask sharp, strategic questions. What is the long-term career trajectory? What is the team culture?
Do I actually want to trade 40 hours a week here? Desperation is the most expensive condition in personal finance, and 30,000 completely eliminates it.
You gain the power to say no to toxic bosses, no to dead-end projects, no to speculative hype investments, and no to arrangements that drain your energy.
And once you master saying no to bad terms, your ability to say yes to transformational opportunities doubles.
So if you are sitting at 15 or 20,000 right now, keep pushing. You are right on the verge of the real shift.
If you found these insights valuable, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Winds of Thought for more deep dives into financial psychology.
How close are you to hitting your ultimate freedom milestone? Let me know in the comments below.